In the beginning of the 2020, multiple phenomenon really started to rise. These trends really took a hold both on YouTube and real life to the point where nowadays I can't really see how things would be without these things. And what are these things? Well, these four things are kind of really did take hold of YouTube and multiple other websites. First being the rise of anime in America in the 2020. Now, anime has been in a steady increase in America for a long time. But in 2020, due to another phenomenon known as COVID, really brought anime upward, right? And it's because so many people were in their houses and, couldn't really do anything. Most people just stayed at home and, well, binge on Netflix or Hulu or whatever website. And a lot of those people ended up watching anime, right? Whether it would be obscure stuff or new stuff, many people took and watch anime a lot of the time to pass the time and even read manga, right? Because in that period of time, there wasn't much that you can do but just stay home, play games, and, you know, watch anime. And also, gaming in that same time took a massive increase, right? One of the biggest games of that year was Animal Crossing, right? But also, another thing really dominated that landscape, which was, streaming. And I do have a lot of opinions on different streamers, but this isn't really about that too much. I mean, it is about streaming, but not particularly about actual human streamers. But a lot of them took, a lot of them went up in the algorithm, right? Whether it be on YouTube, Twitch, the upcoming Kick and Rumble, and Facebook Live, and then later on TikTok, streaming really became dominant to a point now where either everybody has their own type of podcast or their own sort of streaming. It's very prominent in the current landscape, and it would probably be there for as long as the internet is around, right? But another thing really dominated that year that I think people do talk about but don't realize how much of a reach, or at least now it is becoming so prominent that it really has entered real life to just the normie, the everyday person, right? And that is VTubing. I know VTubing gets a lot of diverse opinions, right? People either really like it, really hate it, or really neutral. There is a multitude of opinion on all sides that you can imagine, right? So, little young me, and I did my a mail-in watching video, but I'm gonna rehash something fast. I sort of don't care about VTubing really too much, but I do watch a lot of streaming nowadays, whether it be Local Live, Cureside, or whoever. And some of the people I do watch are VTubers. So I guess for me, that me witnessing the rise of VTube is interesting. But as VTubing became more and more prominent, it really dominated everything. It dominated YouTube particularly, right? Hollow Live, for instance, is one of the biggest VTubing company right now and just dominates the network, dominates the algorithm to the point that sometimes some of the top streamers are VTubers on YouTube. So this brings up to our current news about Iron Mice, right, having more subscribers than Ki Saint. I'm not pronouncing his name right, so apologies. If or is it Kai Saint? I don't know. I'm really sorry if I pronounce his name wrong. I don't really watch a lot of Twitch streamers for just I don't really like Twitch too much. Like I just don't have a real reason to go on Twitch. I really don't. But apparently he's now the most subscribed Twitcher, and that isn't surprising. That isn't surprising. I think it's because I think it has to do for a different reason. Now you may ask why VTubing is dominating everything. I will one day have to go into a more in-depth video with stats and all that fun stuff. But this is more of a very raw take, and I think the reason why is one, personality is very different. Two, anime is as big as ever, right? When you look at anime as far back at the early 2000s and even the 1990s and 80s, It wasn't as popular as now, where it's dominating everything, right? To a point where even Western media is heavily influenced by anime. You can't even avoid it. Three, I think it's just the aesthetics, the cutesy, high energy, or sometimes mommy type, or that very much like girlfriend like energy is very present with a lot of VTuber. And also, I think this is my fifth point, is that VTubing has a very large reach, right? It a lot of the time it does borderline of soft corn. Not all the time, but sometimes it does. Another time it just strictly is just family friendly. So I think those are some of the main reasons. Plus, I think also VTubing is just a lot more easier to promote than just a regular live streamer. Plus, I think also another big reason is that a lot of VTubers just don't get into drama, right? They don't get into a lot of personal drama. And if they do, it's usually in the background, right? It's not really talked about. And other times, again, if they do, it's usually like independent VTubers that get into a lot of drama. Where the big ones are strictly, you know, managed by a company, usually a Japanese company. It's always going to be a Japanese company, and they're managed, and they very much don't like drama. So because of that, I think it's one of the, a lot of the reasons why VTubing is dominating. And I think in the next coming years, don't be surprised if Twitch is just dominated by VTubers, right? It probably is, as we speak, is slowly being dominated. Now, will Kai eventually surpass ironmouse? I doubt it. I'm not a big fan of a lot of Twitch streamers. A lot of the time, I just ignore them because they are annoying. But like when it comes to something like this, you can't ignore the presence of that, right? And I think his reaction was like very shocked and all that like he would be surpassed by an anime girl, right? Yeah, it's a VTube. I don't know what his exact opinions of VTubing is, but I can imagine that he's not too happy, right? And I think another thing is that when it's coming to VTubing, it is very much an acting scene, right? Now, not every VTube act. A lot of VTubers take their certain parts of their own personality and emphasize it, right? But I think because they put such an emphasis, plus also a lot of VTubers make their own music, make their own art, have these kind of like community days where they have a lot of their fans together. That's all I really want to say. I could go on longer than I need to, but yeah, I guess I want to hear what you guys want to say about it. I know I'm not sure if you guys like VTubing too much. As I said, I really don't care too much, but I'd be lying and be a hypocrite if I didn't say that I do like watching certain VTubers, or at least the one I watch are very obvious. Like I really like watching Kirsai. That's the only other VTuber I could think of that I watch. I used to watch Amelia Watson, and a little bit of Gora Gora and all those other girls, but I really don't anymore. But that's really I gotta say. I guess be prepared for your VTube overlords and your anime waifus dominating your daily life. Yeah, have a good one, y'all.